Hey guys, welcome back to another analysis video on the channel. If you enjoy this video and the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up. That will really help us to get to the 1,000 subscribers, and then we can turn on some of the interesting YouTube features, such as, for example, being able to do a live stream and play against some of you guys. So if you enjoy the content and you haven't subscribed yet, click on the subscription button below. It's absolutely free, and you'll also get a notification when I upload a new video. So on the agenda this afternoon, I've selected a game which was played in the Bundesliga, in the German Bundesliga, one of the strongest team events in the world, in November 2024, so just a couple of months ago. And I noticed this game when I was going through some of my model games for French defense players, and this one popped out, and I thought it was a very nice game, very interesting, and with a really interesting twist at the end. And I actually hadn't seen this combination before, the one we'll see in the game, so I think this is something quite nice to bring to my followers on the English channel. So let's get into the game. With the white pieces, we are featuring Valentin Kuklin. Sorry if I didn't pronounce the name correctly. He's a FIDE master from Germany, about 40 years old, 2365. And with the black pieces, an international master also from Germany. His name is Günther Spiess. I think that's the correct pronunciation, but I could be wrong. If any of you around here are German, leave me the correct pronunciation in the comments. Günther Spiess, as myself, international master, probably had a peak rating of 24 something or other, as with me, but now due to age down to 2343. Due to age, and also due to this rating deflation of about 100 points, which all title players are suffering. So Valentin Kuklin opened with e4. Günther played e6, the French defense, and Valentin played knight d2, the so-called Tarrasch variation, which was a favorite of Karpov, and is actually the line I propose in my chessable repertoire, the e4 for the club player. And if you're interested in that repertoire, you can find it below in the description. I propose the Tarrasch. I think it's very easy to play, very simple, and actually this line is featured in the repertoire. So knight to f6 is one of the main lines, and the other main line is c5, both of them striking against the center. I play both with black, and I also play the Tarrasch with white, so for me this was an important game in my repertoire. Knight to f3, c takes d4, e takes d5, and here black can choose between capturing with the queen, which is the move we'll see in the game, or capturing with the pawn, allowing a position with an isolated IQP, isolated queen pawn, which not everyone enjoys. I don't like it too much, but even so I've played it every now and then. Günther captures with the queen, bishop to c4, and here the main move for many years has been queen to d6, with a very similar idea as in the game. Nowadays, queen to d7 is slightly more popular, and although many times it transposes to queen to d6, as we'll see in this game, it does have some hidden ideas in depending the line that white chooses. After castle and knight to b3, here we're going to end up transposing into the main line. a6, knight takes d4, knight takes d4. I do mention in my course that queen takes d4 is okay if you're looking to play an ending. We don't objectively have any advantage, but if your opponent is very aggressive and you like playing without the queens, this is obviously a possibility. One idea is to transfer the bishop to f3, which I think is quite interesting. However, I must say that objectively speaking, the exchange of queens doesn't promise any advantage for white. Valentin played knight takes d4, which is the main move. Now queen to c7 hits the bishop, and prepares to develop, depending what white does. Queen to e2 is the main move. Bishop to d6, and here the pawn on h2 is threat. It's under attack. And the main move, according to theory, is to forget about the pawn and hit with knight to f5, hitting the bishop and the pawn and taking advantage of the fact that the king is pinned. After bishop takes h2, king to h1, the bishop drops back to e5, protecting g7, and here white plays rook to e1, and according to theory, white is very slightly better here with enough compensation for the pawn. In any case, Kuklin played h3, which is also perfectly okay. Knight to e7, now knight to f5 can't be played. Rook to e1, castle, bishop to b3, and here black can choose between b6 and b5. I would have personally played b5, but b6 is perfectly okay as well. Now if black gets in bishop to b7, rook to d8, and maybe knight to g6, already he will have equalized the game and will start fighting for a middle game advantage. So white has to play aggressively. He plays bishop to d2 and rook a d1. I seem to think that this is not aggressive enough. But for the moment, no mistakes have been made. Black plays knight to g6, already eyeing up the squares e5, f4 and h4. White transfers his queen to g4. I think this is correct. Maybe at some point there might be a sacrifice on e6. And black, just in case, hits the queen. Now here's one of the first interesting moments. Now, I think the best move for white is just to drop back to queen to e2. Drop back, maybe c3 later on. I think that black is perfectly okay here, and the game is equal. However, Valentin bravely pushes forward with queen to h5. And this is a small mistake that allows Günther to play queen to c5, attacking the knight, but also threatening knight to f3, check, picking up the queen on h5. Now, it's impossible for me to know if Kuklin saw this move, queen to c5, when he played queen to h5. It's impossible for me to know. He is a FIDE master, so I expect that he did see it and he prepared his answer, queen to g5. Now, no longer knight to f3 is possible because the bishop protects the queen, but he is giving up the knight on d4. And Günther bravely captured the knight. And this is a mistake, as we shall see in the game. The correct move is to hit the queen, push it back, and then just finish off development with rook to d8. And here, black is completely fine. I would even say that after knight to c4, he'll have a small advantage. Now, why didn't Günther play h6 and rook to d8? Not because he hadn't considered it. It's because Günther thought that he could capture the knight on d4. So he did. And this is a mistake in calculation. And we'll see why. Kuklin played bishop to c3, hitting the queen, but also hitting the knight on e5. Günther dropped back, and I am sure that here Günther considered two moves and missed the third one, or at least that's my sensation. He probably calculated correctly. Rook takes d6, and if queen takes d6, then bishop takes e5. Looks very good for white. It's extremely good for white. He probably calculated this and saw that against rook takes d6, he has knight to f3 check, winning the queen. Now, I think that he probably saw this move. And he also probably saw Bishop takes e5, bishop takes, rook takes, and now he just drops back to c7, and again his position is perfectly fine. There are no major threats, and his next move will be rook a8, apart from the fact that he's also threatening f6. But he might have missed rook takes e5, which is the move that Kuklin played. Or he might have seen this move as well and missed the next move, which we'll see immediately. It's impossible for me to know. Now, if Günther, for some reason, or maybe even Valentin, see this game, or some of their friends tell them the game is published, maybe they can come down and put underneath in the notes. It would be great to see Günther or Valentin talk us through the reasoning. What did they miss? Maybe Günther spotted all this line and thought, I capture, he captures, and although he threatens mates, I can play f6 here. And he probably also saw, okay, I will be losing the pawn on e6 with check, but I just move my king away, and now my opponent will lose a piece. Now, if he calculated up to here, here comes the cold shower, because Valentin had seen another move to finish off the game. And if you can see that move, you should leave a comment below before I play it on the board. White to play and win in spectacular fashion. Can you see it? If you spot the move, leave me a comment below and tell me where you're coming from. For example, this move, I'm from Barcelona, from Spain. Or this move, and I'm from Germany. Tell me where you're coming. I really like to know where my audience is watching from. Did you spot the move? I'm sure you did. The move is rook to d7, threatening checkmate, and after pawn takes queen, bishop takes g7 is a very nice checkmate with the two bishops. Now, Günther was definitely stunned by this move, and when he regrouped, he found the only defense, rook to g8. Of course, we shouldn't take the rook now, because then he will take our queen, and this is no longer checkmate. This would be very dangerous. But Kuklin was not going to mess this one up, and he played queen to f6. Fantastic move. And when his opponent recaptures, which he didn't, he had resigned here, then bishop takes f6 is mate in 2 moves. A really fantastic game. I thought it was wonderful. You don't really have to look up to the top guys to find these fantastic tactics. You'll normally find them just a step below, where two very strong players play a decent game and one of them miscalculates a specific line and then can end in disaster. If you play the French with white or with black, this game is definitely interesting for you. And in general, just to see how white flows with the attack with the two bishops and the rook coming onto the 7th line. So I hope you enjoyed. Keep improving, keep learning, keep having fun. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.